Vivienne and Knox, the famously private twins of Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, were recently spotted on a quiet afternoon in Los Angeles. No bodyguards. No red carpets. Just two nearly 17-year-olds walking into a local grocery store, like any other teens. But there was something about that moment, unfiltered, unscripted, that drew everyone's attention. Knox, now almost 17, looked strikingly like a young Brad Pitt. The cropped haircut mirrored the one Brad wore in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, back when the world first fell in love with Brangelina. Calm, composed, and noticeably taller than before, he walked like someone used to carrying silence rather than spotlight. Beside him, Vivienne wore her hair down with a few strands tucked behind her ears, a gesture fans have seen Angelina do 1,000 times. Their outfits were simple: white polos, jeans, sneakers. Nothing fancy, yet somehow it felt cinematic. There was no sign of Angelina that day, no entourage, no assistants. Just two teenagers running errands. But behind that quiet errand was a story still unfolding, one the public has only seen glimpses of. Just a few months earlier, the twins had joined their mother to help close friends who had been displaced by the massive wildfires that swept through Los Feliz. Jolie's home became a refuge for those who had nowhere else to go. And the twins weren't just tagging along. Knox and Vivienne helped pick up supplies, prepare rooms, and even cared for elderly friends who had been evacuated. "I'm taking care of people close to me right now," Jolie told the Daily Mail during one of their grocery runs. She didn't say much, but the image of her children walking beside her, arms full of groceries and eyes full of quiet resolve, said everything. A source told People magazine that the actress was heartbroken for those who've lost their homes and had opened her doors without hesitation. But what makes this moment particularly poignant is the silence surrounding Brad Pitt. Over the past year, the actor has kept an unusually low profile. No major film tours. No interviews about his personal life. And certainly, no public comments about his children, especially Knox. After years of public legal disputes with Jolie over custody and the French winery Chateau Miraval, Brad seems to have taken a step back from the spotlight. But even from a distance, one thread remains visible: his quiet, enduring connection to Knox, his only biological son. Among their 6 children, Maddox is often seen as Jolie's confidant, Pax as the fiercely independent one, and Shiloh as the symbol of quiet transformation. But Knox, he has always been the quiet one. The one who once held his father's hand as they left a courtroom, who rarely appeared in photos, who never spoke to the press, and yet somehow carries his father's presence with every step. At a European film exhibit earlier this year, Brad Pitt made a surprise appearance. When asked, almost offhandedly, about Knox, he paused, smiled slightly, and said, "That kid looks more like me than I do." Just one line, but one that held layers of meaning. Hollywood is changing. So are its stories. The children once caught in the whirlwind of celebrity and scandal are now growing up, each in their own way. And the audience, those who watched the Brangelina saga unfold over 2 decades, are quietly wondering, will there ever come a time when Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie stand in the same room again for the sake of their children? Not as a couple, not as co-stars, but as 2 people who once shared everything, and now share only the echoes of it, in the lives of 6 young people trying to find their place in the world. Knox, Brad Pitt's mirror image, and the silent moment that moved millions. When Knox Jolie-Pitt appeared beside his mother, Angelina Jolie, at the Governor's Awards last November, the world did a double take. Not just because the 16-year-old towered in a tailored black tuxedo, exuding the quiet poise of a young gentleman, but because for a fleeting second, it felt like Brad Pitt himself had stepped out of a time machine from the 1990s. The resemblance was unmistakable. The eyes, the jawline, the calm expression. It wasn't just a passing family likeness. It was as if Knox was carrying Brad's face into the future. Within hours, social media lit up. Tweets flooded in. Some admired his height and composure. Others fixated on the resemblance. One post said simply, "Knox looks like Brad Pitt so much it actually hurts." Another echoed the silent ache beneath the admiration. Brad deserves to see this moment. The photos, first published from the red carpet, then shared across countless platforms, went viral almost instantly. Some people gushed about how handsome Knox had become, calling him, quote, genetic lottery perfection. Others argued over whom he resembled more, with many firmly on Team Brad. One post went viral with a cheeky nod. "Brad Pitt, you are the father." But behind the jokes and heart emojis, there was something deeper, something that quietly tugged at people's hearts. The internet, as it often does, began digging. Old photos resurfaced. Brad holding Knox as a toddler in a New York toy store in 2010, both wearing dark caps, both with that same thoughtful gaze. Other snapshots showed Brad at a Formula One race, gently holding his son's hand. Back then, he was the picture of a proud father, surrounded by his children, often dubbed the king of the Jolie-Pitt clan. But now, in the newest images of Knox, tall, reserved, and strikingly familiar, Brad Pitt was nowhere to be seen. Not beside him, not in the crowd, not even in the frame. And while his physical absence is easy to explain, years of legal battles and a highly publicized divorce, it's his emotional absence that stirred the most poignant reactions. Brad deserves to see this moment. That single comment became a quiet chorus, echoing through the captions and comments, carrying with it not just sentiment but longing. Angelina Jolie, by contrast, continues to be a visible presence in her children's lives, often photographed with them at events, on the streets of Los Angeles, or walking out of Broadway theaters. Brad, meanwhile, has largely stayed out of the spotlight, especially when it comes to his children. Reports suggest that his relationship with some of them has been strained since the 2016 split. There have even been legal filings where children reportedly removed Pitt from their surnames, drawing a stark line in what used to be a seemingly unshakable bond. And yet here stands Knox, silent, composed, and carrying every detail of his father's face. He doesn't speak publicly. He's not an actor. He's not seeking the spotlight. But his presence speaks volumes. Without saying a word, he reminded the world of a time when things were whole. A time when Brad and Angelina stood together. When Brad was a father in every sense of the word, lifting his son in his arms, laughing with him, guiding him. Now, the image of Knox alone beside his mother feels like a message, quiet but powerful. It tells of a love that once was, a bond that might have been fractured but not erased. And it poses the unspoken question: has Brad seen these photos? And if he has, what did he feel? Brad Pitt, by most accounts, is entering a new chapter in his life. He's reportedly dating again, living quietly in California, working behind the scenes on film projects. He rarely speaks about his family anymore, but one can imagine, no matter how serene his days may seem, coming across those photos of Knox must feel like being punched in the chest by a memory. Perhaps he paused. Perhaps he smiled. Perhaps he felt an ache so deep it stayed with him for hours. No one knows for sure. But those who saw the photos, those who felt that familiar sting in their chest, understood. That's what made the image go viral. Not because of celebrity or fashion or Hollywood glitz, but because it reminded us all of something heartbreakingly human. How time moves forward, how children grow, and how sometimes the people we love grow up without us. Maybe one day Brad and Knox will appear together again, off camera, away from red carpets and gossip columns. Maybe it'll be over dinner, maybe at a graduation, maybe in some quiet place where no photographers can intrude. But until then, that one photo of Knox beside his mother will carry the weight of 1,000 memories. It stirred the public not just because of the uncanny resemblance, but because it captured a kind of emotional truth we rarely speak aloud. That families are fragile, and time, though merciless, never erases what once was. And perhaps, just perhaps, it also carried a wish, a quiet hope. That the love once shared between a father and son might still find a way to be seen. As one quiet voice online put it, "Brad, if you're out there, this is your son, and he is growing into you."